The honourable member for Parry Sound, Muskoka.
Mr. Speaker, although it's not my first time standing in this new Parliament, I do want to congratulate you on your election as Speaker. I would like to congratulate all MPs for their respective elections, and I would in particular like to thank the people of Parry Sound, Muskoka for returning me to office for the 4th consecutive time. It's a great honour. I'm sure all colleagues will agree to be here under any circumstances, and we look forward to this Parliament over the next few years. Mr. Speaker, the basis of our motion, Madam Speaker, the basis of our motion today is a straightforward one. Canada must always stand shoulder to shoulder with our allies, and we believe that the government needs to maintain our commitment to the air combat mission against ISIS and to leave our CF-18s in the fight. While our... Am I splitting the time with Selkirk? Does it still give me 10 minutes? Yeah, okay. I'm splitting the time, Madam Speaker, with the member for Selkirk Interlake. I apologize for not mentioning that at the outset, because I was in the throes of oratorical...
You were doing well, too. Just about to start. I believe you were just about to start.
Now that I'm going to restart my comments, while our coalition partners are stepping up their efforts to degrade and defeat ISIS, this government, the Liberal government, is stepping back. Madam Speaker, Canadian Armed Forces and the Royal Canadian Air Force have been carrying out both training and airstrikes successfully in the region for almost a year. Our troops have been making a difference. Pulling them out of the fight now is not only contrary to the interests of Canada and our coalition partners, it is an insult to our women and men in uniform, and to suggest that their role has been insignificant is perhaps the greatest insult. Our troops have damaged ISIS and slowed its progress, and that must continue. Madame la Présidente, les conservateurs...
Madam Speaker, the Conservatives have said that it's important that we stand shoulder to shoulder with our allies, and to do so, we must maintain our engagement in the airstrikes against ISIS and thus leave our CF-18s in the fight. That is why the leader of the official opposition is calling on the Liberal government to change its decision to remove the CF-18s from the fight. We, Madam Speaker, note that the Prime Minister has still not explained how taking the CF-18s out of the fight against ISIL will help our coalition partners.
Madam Speaker, the brutality of ISIS has no bounds. It is an unadulterated evil scourge that must be confronted with full force and without hesitation. Unfortunately, recent history tells the horrific tale. San Bernardino, California, December 2nd, 14 people were killed and 21 injured in a terror attack consisting of a mass shooting and an unsuccessful bombing at the Inland Regional Center by supporters of ISIS. Paris, November 13th. A series of coordinated terrorist attacks claimed the lives of 130 innocent people. November 12th, Beirut, Lebanon. 2 suicide bombers killed at least 43. The attack in a south suburb of Beirut is one of Lebanon's deadliest in recent years. ISIS targeted civilians, worshippers, unarmed people, women and the elderly. They only targeted innocent people. November 4th, Sinai Peninsula, Egypt. At least 4 police officers were killed when a suicide bomber detonated a vehicle full of explosives next to a police club in northern Sinai. Sinai Peninsula, October 31st. After a Russian plane crashed in a mountainous part of Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, a Sinai-based group affiliated with ISIS claimed responsibility for planting the bomb on the plane. 224 people were killed. Aden, Yemen, October 6th. ISIS claimed responsibility for an attack on a luxury hotel hosting Yemeni officials and a Gulf military base in Yemen's cosmopolitan port city of Aden, as well as a mosque bombing in the Yemen capital of Sana'a. At least 15 troops, including 4 UAE soldiers, were killed. In Sana'a, Yemen, September 24th, ISIS militants targeting Shiite Muslims praying during the religious holiday of Eid killed 25 people at a mosque in Yemen's capital of Sana'a. And then there are the ISIS executions. The full scale of ISIS's year of terror has been detailed in a recent report that claims the jihadist group has executed more than 3,000 people in the past 12 months, a tally which includes 74 children. According to a report by the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights produced to mark the first anniversary of the establishment of the group's so-called caliphate, ISIS has carried out 3,027 execution killings in a year. Among the thousands of Arab and Kurdish civilians executed by the group in Syria last year, 86 were women. The United Nations Committee on the Rights of the Child released a report in February documenting the many horrors ISIS has imposed on children who are Kurdish, Yazidi, Christian, and Muslim. Children, even those who are mentally challenged, are being tortured, crucified, buried alive, used as suicide bombers, and sold as sex slaves, according to this report, and there's no reason to doubt its veracity. Madam Speaker, the international community, our allies, are at one. Here's what some of the leaders around the world, our coalition allies, have to say about the fight against ISIS. David Cameron, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. ISIL have brutally murdered British hostages. They have inspired the worst terrorist attack against British people since 7/7 on the beaches of Tunisia, and they have plotted atrocity after atrocity on the streets here at home. Since November of last year, our security services, this is Mr. Cameron speaking, have foiled no fewer than 7 different plots against our people, so this threat is very real. So the question is this, he says, do we work with our allies to degrade and destroy this threat, and do we go after these terrorists in their heartlands from where they are plotting to kill British people, or do we sit back and wait for them to attack us? Madame la Présidente, le Président de la...
Madam Speaker, the President of France, François Hollande, has spoken out several times on this subject.
France will battle ISIS without respite, without a truce. It is not a question of containing, but of destroying the organization. President Obama, ISIL is the face of evil. Our goal, as I've said many times, is to degrade and ultimately destroy this barbaric terrorist organization. Mr. Speaker, it is evidently clear where our allies stand on this issue, but sadly Canada's position, once clearly defined under our previous Conservative government, is now hazy and hesitant. Canadians can be extremely proud of the efforts of the women and men of the Canadian Armed Forces in Operation Impact. Our Special Operations Forces have been able to train over 1,100 Peshmerga forces, allowing them to combat ISIS more effectively on the ground. For nearly a year, the Royal Canadian Air Force has been working with our allies and successfully launching airstrikes against ISIS fighting positions, weapons caches, training facilities, IED facilities, critical infrastructure, and command centers. And while my time is up in about a minute, I have to say this. Regrettably, we have no plan from the Liberals on what our mission against ISIS would look like. There is no mention of what our plan will be in the throne speech. Madam Speaker, Canadians support the fight against ISIS. They deserve to know why we are stepping back. I thank you.
Hear, hear.